I don't know what you're doing, where you are. I want you to take one really deep breath right now because you're listening. I want you to take a really deep breath and I want you to blow it out really smoothly and slowly. And if you're in a place that you can say out loud, today is going to be brilliant. Mentoring with Geraldine is a bite-sized practitioner podcast for naturopaths, nutritionists, herbalists, coaches, and practitioners. This podcast responds directly to the needs of you, the practicing natural therapist. We have interviews during the holiday season and business and mindset support each week, so you'll get the variety you need to enjoy and stay motivated in your practice. Don't forget to subscribe to receive the weekly episodes. And if you want to connect with me, always check the show notes because that's where you'll find the links to book appointments and, of course, to join the Academy, the membership group where there's constant connection and community with like-minded practitioners. Now, let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mentoring with Geraldine and the Bite Size Podcast. How the devil are you? So, over the last three really, if we include the systems, in June, we were able to reflect on our winter reset. We reflected on what we were doing business-wise, and we reflected on the energy and the emotion and where it's best spent to use this energy to create emotion within ourselves. You've reflected on that. Hopefully you've written the journal. Hopefully you've downloaded the workbook to do so. If not, you've just sat with me while I've talked and you've been writing so that you've got those headings. One of the big traps that we have is that practitioners don't reflect, and they don't reflect on what they do, on their clients, on the consult itself. And reflection is really big. It's a huge part of what we do. We ask our clients to reflect on their lives, on their health choices, on their past, and yet we're not reflecting on our business. So we don't have to reflect on the individual client. We don't have to reflect on, well, we might want to, but we don't have to. When we're sitting there, we've just seen them. That's the time we'd reflect on that consult specifically and on that person specifically straight after the event. We'd look at it, we'd write, do they need this? Do they need that? We might set up the prescription. We've set up their follow-up appointment. We've got our systems in place with them. We've reflected on how the consult went and the individual discussions and whether or not they're coming back and whether or not we think it went well. That might not be whether they thought it was going well. That's different. But what we don't reflect on is us and how we felt about that consult. What we might feel is, or we might overlook at it all and get really worried and upset, and our reflection becomes a form of anxiety, which is what we don't want. Okay. We want to look at what's working and what's not so that we can see where our energy is best spent. Okay. So it's time to move forward. We've done the workbooks. We've looked at where we're putting our energy. And if we're over-reflecting on a client, then we need to take a step back. If we're doing too much for each client, we need to take a step back. That's where you need support. Have you watched the webinar from 2 weeks, a week ago? Have you watched that yet? Because it's really important that we don't slide down that anxiety trap, and that when we're reflecting on the bigger picture. Okay. So what I want to move forward to into July is our back pocket tools. So, we all need a toolkit, don't we? We all need these tiny shifts that create structure and ease. We've reflected deeply in June, hopefully. We've gone through things in June. We've looked at what we're doing. Hopefully we started to implement changes, create and do things. And if we didn't, then hopefully we've got in contact so you get some help for structure and support, because what can happen is we try to do too much too fast. I've talked about this a lot, where you're looking at the big picture rather than the smaller gains. Okay, I've just moved house. The big picture is the house needs so much doing. Turns out, irritatingly and expensively, I need a new roof. Did not know that when we bought. So, that's a big picture thing, but ultimately it's a small picture thing. I just had to get a roofer in and we just have to make a date. There's little things and there's big things. It's a roof. So, we need these back pocket tools so that we can structure what we do so that it's sustainable. So that, I don't know, for example, we could be scheduling a couple of posts in advance in social media, or you employ someone to do that for you. And it means that these things are sustainable and we have the confidence to do it because we're using tools that will help us. Those tools might be people who then use the tools if we don't want to, because you've gone through and had a look. What do I like? What do I don't like? What am I good at? What am I not good at? What do I want to keep doing myself? What don't I want to keep doing myself? So starting next week, what we're going to do is we're really going to dive into this Back Pocket Toolkit. Okay? 5 practical things that you can build in 20 minutes or less that will support you in business. Whether you're working, I don't know, traveling, you're moving house, curled up under a blanket, I don't know, whatever it is you're doing. But that's what we're going to do in July. So, I hope you've subscribed to the podcast. I don't normally say that one, do I? I normally say, go and give me a 5-star review. And I always forget to say, hey, you need to subscribe so that you see when the next episode's coming up, especially like last month, too late now, so that hey, I've got to go and get myself the workbook. I got to get a pad of paper out to do this with Geraldine. So you want to have access to I reckon there's going to be freebies in it. I reckon there's going to be some stuff there for you to grab in the podcast downloads. But book the focus call. Let's go through things together. The Back Pocket Toolkit is about to come your way. So I know today's a quickie. Sometimes they just are, right? I don't know what you're doing, where you are. I want you to take one really deep breath right now because you're listening. I want you to take a really deep breath and I want you to blow it out really smoothly and slowly. And if you're in a place that you can say out loud, today is going to be brilliant. All right? You might not be in a place where you can say that out loud. You might have to think it really out loud, but it's always better when we say things out loud because then we acknowledge them with our ears as well as with our voice. So say it. Have an absolutely brilliant rest of day. And I look forward to catching up with you next week when we start for the month of July with our Back Pocket Toolkit. See ya. Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast for the weekly episodes. If you'd like even more support and learning, then the Academy is for you. Here you'll find part 2 of the herbal discussions, more clinical learning, and case studies to support your clients in practice. Bye for now.